Welcome or welcome back to the Lawkward Chronicles. Today we are going to be doing our book club episode for May, and that is with Adelaide by Genevieve Wheeler. The point of the book club episode is to discuss the book in detail and give spoilers. So if you do not want any spoilers about Adelaide by Genevieve Wheeler, please exit out, check out my spoiler-free reading blog where I read Adelaide. Go check out that and then come back to here when you finish reading it so you can get the discussion questions, some just thoughts about the book and how much we hate Rory. I have gotten these book club questions from readinggroupchoices.com. I have put the link as well as all of the questions down in the description box below in case you want to take them to your book club episode, your book club, or answer any of the questions in the description or in the comments. Words are hard. In the comments below. Let's take a drink of water. Yeah, grab yourself a beverage, whether that's tea, water, coffee, energy drink, matcha tea latte, and let's get into it. So to start, I'm just gonna read the description. Feel free to buzz through this if you do not want to hear it again. But the synopsis for Adelaide is: in love for 26-year-old Adelaide Williams, an American living in dreamy London. Meeting Rory Hughes was like a lightning bolt out of the blue. This charming Englishman was the one she wasn't even looking for. Is it enough? Does he respond to texts, honor his commitments, make advanced plans? Sometimes, rarely, and no, not at all. But when he shines his light on her, the world makes sense, and Adelaide is convinced that, in his heart, he's fallen just as deeply as she has. Then, when Rory is rocked by an unexpected tragedy, Adelaide does everything in her power to hold him together, even if it means losing herself in the process. When love asks too much of us, how do we find the strength to put ourselves first? With unflinching honesty and heart, this relatable debut from a fresh new voice explores grief and mental health while capturing the timeless nature of what it's like to be young and in love with your friends, with your city, and with a person who will not love you back. And I know I said it before, but I love this cover. It's so stunning. It's so beautiful. I love the flowers and the face. Oh, it's just, I wish I had this print to like hang up on my wall because I love it. It's my vibe. It's my vibe. All right, let's get into some discussion questions and then I'll share some of my favorite quotes and other thoughts about the book. So question 1. In Adelaide, mental health is an integral part of the narrative. How does Adelaide's relationship with her own mental health transform over the course of the novel? Which relationships are most important to supporting Adelaide's mental health throughout? How did your understanding of mental health change or not after reading the novel? I feel like Adelaide's mental health started off stable. It wasn't not strong, but it was not, she didn't have boundaries set. So she was being taken advantage of or giving too much of herself before giving herself the stuff that she needs. So she started off stable, just having fun, good time. You could tell she had some insecurities. And then it just kind of, as the novel went on, slowly start chipping away and then became very low after the incident with Natalie and Rory being the worst human ever on the whole world. Obviously she tried to commit suicide, but ended up going and getting help, thank goodness, and then a slow rebuild of that, as well as finding more stable relationships to sustain her and to not take so much from her because she is such a giver and Rory was a taker and he just took. With that, the relationships that I feel like were super important for her were her core friends and her family, since all of her family has mental health struggles and issues, and she was able to call them because they know exactly, well, for the most part, they know what she is going through and were better able to guide her if she had these thoughts and feelings. Like her sister is becoming a therapist and suffers with bipolar disorder, so she was better able to call her up and be like, hey, I am struggling, even though it wasn't a call every day kind of thing. And her core friends, her friends tell her what like it is, but also support her and drop everything when she needed help, and were better able to check in with her and just be such great support systems. And it's so important to have those core friends, and especially those female friendships, because we understand each other at an emotional level. I don't think it really changed much about what my mental health thoughts are, but it definitely validated a lot of things and just explored more of that and what it's like. And also, even though I do not have the mental health struggles in this book, there are very similar things that I have felt and thought. Like, I have an anxious attachment style, like I said in the reading blog and other times as well. I have an anxious attachment style. A lot of what she was doing is exactly what I do when I am with the wrong person, or a person that is an avoidant attachment style. So I can definitely see the parallels in myself. Kind of helped validate and made me feel not so alone. A lot of my friends are in really healthy relationships, and I'm so happy for them. And just like Adelaide's friends are all in really healthy relationships, and yeah, so happy for them. And it's definitely something I look out for, but it was nice to not be alone and realize, oh, I do this crap that Adelaide is doing and that I'm getting so mad at her for when she can just walk away. I understand it. The novel structure shifts in both timeline and viewpoint, featuring snippets of Adelaide and Rory's past relationships as well as Rory's perspective throughout. How does the structure shape your reading experience and inform your understanding of the characters overall? Does it enhance or detract from your ability to empathize with them? I feel like Adelaide's POV was very much like, gave her more of a dynamic character development and a better just look at her character and why she does the things that she does and what her background is. It just adds value to her character. So I feel like I was better able to empathize with her. Rory, I didn't need to see his perspective, to be completely honest. He's trash, and every time I read him, I just hated him even more. I could not stand reading his POV because I'm like, no, you're just a selfish prick, and I absolutely despise you. And it just continued to grow and grow, my animosity towards Rory. Every time we got his POV, I'm like, you're just getting worse. Like, you are not contributing anything to society besides being a menace to society. And the fact that Adelaide never crossed his mind at any point to call after she explained that she had met Natalie and really, really liked her and thought she was so cool and awesome, and they were seeing each other for so long, and he never even thought to call her, never crossed his mind until, what was it, Bubs or his brother or somebody was like, oh, have you called Natalie? He's like, never even crossed my mind. Like, I get that you're going through trauma, but you called everybody else except for the girl that you're seeing. Definitely detracted from Rory as I continued to witness him in life. Just a horrible person. Adelaide attempts to rationalize and excuse Rory's behavior on a number of occasions. Why does she do this? What does it say about her character and about his? Were there moments in the novel where you felt compassion toward Rory? Why or why not? Again, anxious avoidant attachment. It's the push and pull. She feels like she needs to be validated with attention and earn affection. When he gives her that attention and affection, she grabs it for everything that it is, and like is easier to block out the bad stuff because she can be like, oh, but he did this and he cares, when really, no, he doesn't. It's just having to work hard for someone to love and accept you for all of your faults, and it's just insecurity. My compassion for Rory was very, very slim, if not at all. The trauma of losing his parents, obviously, and having that so young, and now he's grieving over his ex. The way he handles situations is very poor, but because he also experiences abandonment issues, and he leaves before anybody else can leave, and so he feels like he can never get close to anybody because they will leave or die and he'll still be alone. I empathize with that, and I have compassion for him, but I still do not like him, and he needs therapy. Right, question 4. On page 6, Adelaide notes she'd never known that a metropolis could become a booming, integral character in your life before living and studying in London. Would you say that the city of London is booming integral character in Adelaide? What role does the setting play throughout the story? And how does being an American in London shape Adelaide's outlook and behavior? Is there a place in your life that has become an integral character? During different phases of our lives, the cities that we are in and feel connected to the most do become an integral part of our character, as well as like it feels like a living, breathing thing, and it's so cool. It can just help kind of wake you up and feel like this is just, it's a, yeah, like I said, a living, breathing thing. And definitely I think that London does become an integral part of Adelaide's character, and it helps her feel alive, and the opportunities that are available to her shape her, and the experiences around, just, she connects so well to them and is so present in them. What role does the setting play throughout the story, and how does being an American in London shape Adelaide's outlook and behavior? Americans are viewed, we are, as more like bold and outspoken. And I think that holds true compared to English's more reserved, quiet manner. And I feel like Adelaide is more bold in general, and because she realizes the American preconception, she just plays up to it a little bit more as well, and goes out of her way to fill that expectation in order to make people feel more comfortable around her, because they already have those preconceived notions. Also, she's so hospitable and so kind. So like, it's not like she's being bold and rude. It's like she's showing kindness and being compassionate and caring. And I love that aspect for her, and that she represents Americans that well. And is there a place in your life that has become an integral character? When I was out in Salt Lake, that definitely gave me that buzzing feeling of, this is home. I loved it so much. It became, yeah, that definitely like integrated itself. But then when I came back from Utah, back into Minnesota, again, that same home feeling just enraptured me. All the greenery, the lakes, just the general vibe of the Midwest is so unmatched. And even though our winters suck, this is who I am. And yeah, so the calmness of it and just what season of life I am in, Minnesota has definitely become that part of me. Anywhere there's a lake and cabins, that's where I feel like it's a character for me. How is the character of Natalie present in the novel? What does Adelaide's perception and response to Natalie suggest about her own character? And does it suggest anything more broadly about how women respond to and even mythologize other women, particularly in the context of dating and past relationships? All right, so Natalie is presented as perfect and ideal, especially like prior to even when she told Rory about her meeting Natalie. Adelaide is like, she is so hardworking, she's beautiful, I'm just drawn magnetically to her. And then they went out for coffee and had just the best time and connected so well. Her expectations were already high. I think if she wouldn't have met Natalie prior to Rory telling her that that was his ex, I think she could have just been like, oh, she's perceived as whatever. But now Adelaide has that vision of Natalie and can see how wonderful and perfect she is. And so she can't dispute Rory's jabs at Adelaide, like being like, oh, Natalie was perfect, she did this, Natalie's so hardworking, she never put her problems on me. Oh gosh, I hate Rory. Ugh. And I feel like it just continued to chip away at her insecurity, knowing that she could never measure up to Natalie as a girlfriend or a colleague, or like in that business too. In relationships, about the infamous ex, I feel like without even knowing anything about someone's past relationship, it's more of a survival technique. And especially as what Adelaide was doing, she's like, how can I be the good parts of the ex and avoid being the bad parts of the ex? And that way they will stay and they will love you. And that's definitely the case with Adelaide, trying to be only the good parts of Natalie that Rory has deemed worthy, and not letting the bad parts show, even if it is against Adelaide's character. Question 6 is continuing from the previous question. How do Adelaide's relationships with other women throughout the story, from her sisters to her close friends to her colleagues, shape and inform the development of her character? How did the novel's emphasis on female friendships serve the narrative as a whole? She sees her friends in healthy relationships, but also her friends are still present for her and support her. And you don't have to give up one to have the other. And her sisters, like I said, also just struggle with mental health and Adelaide is able to reach out and feel compassion and ask for advice and know that they understand more because they are dealing with that sort of mental health struggles as well. And her colleagues, oh, I just love that she was able to keep in touch with her past colleagues and that they aren't competing, but they're saying like, oh, we have a perfect position for you. And just having those relationships and keeping those relationships alive and well just served Adelaide in the next step in her career, because otherwise she would have been going for like a really low paying job that she would have loved, but also would have made her probably not enjoy reading as much as she already does. And she was able to use her creative marketing skills in a really high paying job that gave her so many benefits and gave her time off. And that was all because she kept in touch and was wonderful and connected with the other women in the office that she worked at a previous place. Emphasizes that female friendships are just so important. They have to be cherished, and no one will support you or be there for you more than your female friends. And I'm doing this so much, but it is such an emphasis. And it's okay to lean on them and to discuss problems and to figure things out together, or just listen to one another and cry and just be a part of each other's lives. So question 7 is, dating apps play a key role in driving the plot of Adelaide forward. Why do you think this is, and what does it imply about modern dating culture? It's the modern way of dating, as we know, and expresses difficulty through truly connecting with people because we have so many people available in the palm of our hand, and if we don't like something, we can just swipe right or left. It would be left. Yeah, we can just swipe left, like nope, nope. And then if we end up going out with somebody and don't like them, easily unmatch them. I think it shows how shallow modern dating culture is, because it does take a little bit to get to know one another on a personal level and make that big connection. However, I totally get not vibing with somebody right away. But sometimes we write people off too soon, and sometimes we don't write people off soon enough.
You never know what you're going to get.
Adelaide is 26-year-old when the novel opens. Yet in many ways, this is a coming-of-age story. In what ways do you agree with this statement? What does she have to learn and reckon with in this new stage of adulthood? And what does this indicate about the nature of coming-of-age stories in general? I think as our society starts to push marriage and having kids later in life, especially into our 30s, and allowing us to have time in our 20s to explore ourselves, to try different things, to travel, to just grow as individuals, I think that will be the new norm for the age of coming of age stories, is in our 20s, because we're still learning, we're still so young, and it's not like it was however many decades ago where people automatically wanted marriage and kids. And now we have time and we have resources and we have the ability to do all the things in life prior to settling down and having that, if that is something that people want. Adelaide has to learn to take care of herself and put herself first, and she can show compassion to everyone, but she needs to not give everything for someone who does not deserve it nor appreciates it, and she does not have to give it all. She can be there for people without overexerting herself, and it's okay for her to step away. Question 9, flowers are often present throughout Adelaide. What themes do they symbolize and represent at various points in the novel? Do these themes change and evolve as the story progresses? If yes, how so? You guys, I'm not gonna lie, I don't remember flowers. I remember like people handing flowers. I don't remember what the flowers were. I don't really remember much about flowers. So I can't answer this question. I just know Adelaide like would send a bunch of flowers to people. I don't remember what I don't remember what kind, so I don't know what they represent. I'm not a plant person, so that stuff just goes right over my head. So if you have an answer, please answer down in the comments below. The idea of fate also comes up throughout Adelaide. Why do you think this is? How does Adelaide's interpretation of fate inform her decision making and even distract her from the rest of the scene? Is fate in the eye of the beholder? Why or why not? And how does Adelaide support your own interpretation of fate? There are so many dang questions within one question. So many. All right, so I think most people in times of hope and struggle need to look elsewhere and into something else to make sense of a coincidence. The universe, like meaning that the universe has a purpose or a meaning to things as to why things are and why things keep occurring. And you keep getting signs from the universe that point to that person or decisions that you should make about certain situations. I do this too all the time. So I'm the worst person to I'm definitely like a fate enthusiast and reading into signs, but I think it's mainly just because you become aware of certain things that connect certain things, and so you notice them more. There's not necessarily a meaning behind them. So yes, fate is in the eye of the beholder for sure. Definitely agree to that. With Adelaide's interpretation of things and the decision making, she gets a gut feeling about Rory and sees that he's treating her so poorly and that he doesn't care and is pulling away and she should not be treated like this. And then something happens and she gets a sign to not leave yet, and just continues on and on and on. And then after they break it off, the smell of detergent or like whatever his scent is, he owns that now. The flower garden owns that. The Spice Girls song, he remembers her like that too. So any of those little coincidences that they shared is a reminder to her, even though they would not have been previously otherwise. The end of the novel hints at both resolution and uncertainty. From your vantage point, what does it say about Adelaide's story and how does it make you feel about your own? What emotions did the ending of Adelaide make you feel? Elated. I felt elated, mainly because she ended up with Bubs. I'm so happy. If you watched my reading vlog, I said I hope she ends up with Bubs, and she did, and that made me so happy because Bubs is such an amazing guy. He's so caring, he's so sweet, and they are such a great match for each other, and I just love it so much. And as for the resolution and uncertainty, I mean, this is one portion of her life. Like, this book is in a series of other books of her life, and this is just one book of those. So the uncertainty is like everything is fine for now, but who knows, 20 years down the road, 30 years down the road, like her story just keeps developing, and that is a beautiful thing because our stories aren't finished after the happily ever after. We continue to grow and life continues to happen. I liked that aspect, that there can still be more. It can be better, it can be worse, but there's still more to come. And I think that's really important for Adelaide to realize too, knowing that uncertainty is still there, but pursuing forward, it's not the end, which is beautiful, I think. The ending made me feel really happy for Adelaide that she finally found someone who appreciates her. I was very confused that Rory ended up with his first girlfriend. I didn't even realize that she was still on the radar, and I am really confused as to why she felt that she was a match with him. I don't know, maybe she was a stable person or a secure attachment style. That was a weird thing for me. I feel like Rory should just been alone forever. And the fact that he didn't even look up and acknowledge Adelaide and just the dog. Oh, like, I get it because dogs are important, but like, you should look to see where they're attached. It would be one thing if the dog was running off leash, but like, I at least try to say hi to the owners as well as like, can I pet your dog? And he didn't either. So he's still selfish. He's still rude, and I still dislike him very much. I hate him. He's awful. So that's my thoughts on Rory. But yes, I'm just so excited she ended up with Bubs, and her friends in here were just so cool. Also, the fact that her bestie's husband reads tea leaves, that is so cool. I want him to read mine, but also I'd be super nervous. But the fact that he only shares the good is so cool. Like, that is so sweet because he doesn't want people fretting, but the fact that he saw horrible things in Adelaide's future and not much good, that was really sad. But then it was good again. It was fine. It was just good. But let's go over some of my favorite quotes. So page 87. Oh yeah, I shared this one in the reading blog, but here we go again. Adelaide didn't want a boyfriend, nor did she really have time for one. But she wanted him, wanted attention, wanted Tyler. On snow days and Sundays and always. And with the grains of salt with which the statements like this must be taken, she was all but certain she was falling in love with a handsome stranger. I just love the on the snow days and Sundays and always, just like the mundane part of life. she just wants to be in love, and being in love with somebody even on like the boring parts of life. Oh, that's what I want to, girly. Page 113, they're talking about moving, if they would like to move or travel or whatever. And Celeste says, I'd like to move around too, but I feel like you can do that with a partner, you know? Those things aren't mutually exclusive. Being with someone doesn't equate to being tied down necessarily. Page 144. I mean that you're here next to me, saying you're unsure if you ever want to get married. I, meanwhile, am knee-deep in love with you, Rory, and you seem to have no fucking idea because you're so hung up on the last person you dated and apparently didn't even want to stay with. And I loved when Adelaide called him out on his bullshit. That was so great. I was so happy. And then she apologizes, and I'm really upset about that. She should have just left and broke up with him because he is horrible. 147. Love was challenging, complex, unforgiving, yes. But love was also meant to feel easy, comfortable, not whatever it was Adelaide felt. Something akin to her heart being grated slowly. Fresh cuts emerging each time Rory refused to adhere to plans, to say he loved her, to call her his person or his partner or his favorite. Perhaps he wasn't a prince at all. Perhaps he was yet another dragon she needed to slay, another hurdle to overcome on her own journey to self-actualization, or love, or something. And perhaps the only way to find the meaning of this relationship was to let it end. Let it end, Adelaide. Let it end. Going all the way to 266. Pain is pain is pain. It was important to recognize your privilege, yes, to show gratitude, to count your blessings, but it was also important to acknowledge and accept your pain, to understand that no matter how large or small your problems, your losses, your wounds, they are yours, and you're allowed to feel them. The hardest loss will always be your own. Okay, just a few more, because I am choking on the air quality. But my brain has been to this incredibly dark place now, and that darkness is always kind of lingering at the periphery, no matter what, no matter how much light is in my life. Maybe, Eloise said, and I'm no therapist, but maybe the darkness isn't such a bad thing. Maybe it's a reminder that you're capable of turning the car around. You're capable of rerouting from a very dark, scary path back to the light. You know how to go to that dark place now, but you also know how to come out of it. That was it's just so beautiful. Page 281. Maybe you were meant to enter his life at the time he needed you. You most. Maybe he wasn't meant to enter your life per se, but you were meant to enter his. And that, I feel like, is not talked about enough in the ideals of fate. And then continuing on to 282. There was no equation in which she was not overwhelmingly kind. She had been more good than bad by every measure. She had been enough. This was definitely a very heavy read, and a lot of mental health issues and a lot of trigger warnings, so always be aware of those. But absolutely a beautiful, eloquent, lovely read, and I am happy that I read it, even though there was a lot of trauma in this book. You are enough, first and foremost. If you are struggling with any mental health, please give the suicide hotline a call. Yep, mental health resources are all on the back here. I'll just hold them up for you. Well, thank you so much for hanging out. Please feel free to answer any of the questions down in the comments below. I would love to hear it. Let me know what your thoughts were of Adelaide. Did you like it? Did you not like it? Were you neutral about it? With that being said, respect others, respect yourself, and do something amazing with your day. Thanks, bye.